am here with a dear friend and from Raleigh, North Carolina, world-class dentist, teacher, entrepreneur, visionary. There's not much I can say. His name is Tarun Agarwal, but nobody knows that. Everybody knows he was TBone. TBone, how are you this morning?
Oh, Paul, that was such a gracious introduction. You must have had to really look in the dictionary to find all those words, because definitely I'm not next to those.
Well, we've been hanging out for long enough. I think, everybody knows what you've been doing is such a credit to the whole profession, to be honest with you. You've been entertaining me for the last couple of weeks online with all of your little podcasts and whatever you're doing. And you're probably podcasted out at this point. Your poor brain stuff is shooting in and out, and everybody's asking you questions.
It's interesting you say that. I did take a 3-day break because my wife's like, well, you're not down in the studio today? I'm like, absolutely, I am done. I am done. So I'm ready to get back at it.
Yeah, what's sad for me is I usually see you around. We even bumped into each other in an airport one day,
right?
Which that's not happening for a while.
Oh, God knows.
And between the two of us, we probably put thousands of miles going all over and teaching people, and people want to see what you're doing with 3D dentists and all sorts of things. Before, just talk real quickly. Tell us about the podcast. I call them podcasts. I don't know if they're really broadcasts. So tell a little bit about what you're doing right now during our confinement, and then I want to ask you some other questions.
Well, yeah, look, I make no bones about being a little bit selfish, okay? So, and not in a bad way, but selfish for me in this situation is I just want to communicate with people because it makes me calm and it makes me feel better. It allows me to talk things out. So I've been very fortunate that, I'll kind of show everybody a little view here. I have a studio built into my basement because we've been doing a podcast for 4 years, and I've been educating and teaching, and we're trying to do more of that without having to travel, even before all of this other stuff started. So I've been just coming down here every day and just kind of shooting the breeze with people, talking to people privately, and doing a lot of the stuff online as well. And we're live streaming that through social media, and then doing a lot of it recorded on a podcast.
Yeah, I actually, in my own lectures, I always promote TBone Speaks, because there's a lot of great information there about mostly the CAD/CAM world, but just right now, you've been a real treasure in terms of entrepreneurship. By the way, I have a surprise for you.
Townie 2004, holy smokes, dude.
How's that?
That's year number 2. Are you kidding me? That was the Rio, I believe that's where that one was.
You know what?
Or maybe no, that was the Aladdin Hotel. I take that back. That was the Aladdin. What at the time was the Aladdin Hotel. So yeah, now I think it's Planet Hollywood Hotel.
So speaking of meetings, right now I got something from the ADA the other day that said they might still be having this meeting. And what do you think is going to happen with dental meetings in general? Are they going to turn into this? Are they going to turn virtual like we are here?
Well, I got to be honest with you. I am unbelievably surprised at how well we're able to connect using this virtual technology. I think there'll always be a role for meetings, because nothing replaces hugging people, handshaking people, networking with people. Nothing will ever replace that. But here's the truth. From, again, my opinion is dentistry has way too many meetings, just way too many. And I think ultimately, things are going to have to change. Our business, that industry within our profession is going to have to change. So I think states are going to have to go to regionalized meetings, and we're going to have to do something different. I don't think it'll be the way we saw it a few years ago. A few years from now, it won't be that way.
What's kind of sad for me. I've done some lecturing online as you do. There's something about feedback from the people. When you're talking about something, you tell a joke and you hear people laugh. You say something and they go, "Oh yeah," and you watch their faces and they go, "Oh, I never thought of that before." So that's what I'm missing. I just did a podcast for about teledentistry, for whatever that means, and I was staring at myself the whole time, saying, "What the heck?" And reviews come in, and it's nice that people say, "Oh, thanks for the information," but it's so different. It's so different. It's such a different feel for the whole thing.
Well, there's no eye contact. There's no head shaking. There's no that, "Oh, I'm not interested," or "Yes, I am interested." There's none of that. And then it's harder to fill time, quite frankly. You can't BS as much either.
Yeah. So using your great insight here, we're all stuck right now, and I've heard some of the things you've said we could do while at home and do some cleanup of our practices and some cleanup of our ideas. Give me that a little briefing. I only have a few minutes, but a little briefing of what you think we should be doing right now. And then the big question is, what's it going to look like a couple of weeks from now when we start walking back into our practices? I mean, I have no clue. I
Yeah.
have no clue.
Well, I think the biggest message I would like to get out to people is we are closer to getting back to work than we are from not working. Okay. So I think we're clear on that. And now our mindset has to shift from survival in terms of just trying to buckle down and do all of that and really shift into a restart. And there's a difference in starting and getting in that restart mode. And think of it like a race that you've gone to, maybe Indy 500 or something like that. There's a pace car that goes around with the cars before they really start the race. And really, we're in that pace car stage right now. And by that, I mean, listen, we've done the worst thing we've done, in my opinion, is we've quote unquote closed our offices. And that will, in retrospect, turn out to be a horrible idea. And I'm not talking about from patient care. I'm talking about from a mentality of closing our office. It's going to turn out to be bad because most of us have not done anything with insurance aging, have not done anything with patient aging. We've not done very much with patient communication and staying on top of mind. And we've allowed the narrative for our profession to be that we've become non-essential. And so I think we're going to rue the day that we allowed some of this narrative to exist. And I break it down to that we mentally closed. Even if we physically, patient-wise closed, we should have absolutely not mentally closed offices. We should have had a couple of front office people at every office, and they could have easily covered their costs and covered the personal financial disaster that's really going on in this pandemic. Would have easily covered that by just going after past due insurance and patient amounts, because a significant percentage of our patients have not been affected by this financially and are able to pay for things. So I think it's going to come down to, as the biggest mistake we made during this pandemic time, is mentally closing our minds.
But we still have to connect with the patients somehow. And I've talked to a few people who said, there are different ways with social media to connect and sending out email blasts and using some of the products that are out there to get to your patients. Can we stay in touch with our patients, and can we give them a good message right now?
Absolutely. Listen, there is no excuse in 2020 to not be able to connect with our patients. And look, I'm gonna talk out of the hypocrite side of me, okay? Because I haven't done some of these things great. What I have done very well is communicating via social media to our patients. But the truth is not all of our patients are there. And the way these social networks work, they don't even send your information to all your patients. These quote unquote algorithms don't allow it to go out there. But I think there's such a value in some of the email services, some of the text services that we have, to just send out a note every once in a while that we miss you, that we understand what's going on and we will be back. And then I think there's an unbelievable value in just picking up the phone and calling random patients, maybe one patient a day or two patients a day, and just pick up the phone and ask them how they're doing. There's such a value in that human connection.
I've actually had that. I've actually had that from a number of patients sending me emails, and I thought, oh my God, they must have lost the crown. They're just checking in.
They're just checking
in.
And there's a value to human connection, and old school things like picking up a phone and just calling somebody. Yeah. There's no reason for us not to do that kind of stuff.
Well, I mean, one of your mantras, for lack of a better word, is relationships with the patients. Communication and relationships are the two biggest words I think I've learned from you.
Yeah. And look, I'm going to extend the relationship beyond just the patient, the relationship with your reps and your business reps and your bankers. How important have some of those things turned out to be during this time? Those of us that are banking with very large banks weren't peons to them. We truly don't matter. And it showed in how many dentists weren't able to get their PPPs pushed through, because the truth is we chose the wrong bank because we didn't value relationships.
That's absolutely true. So do you think as we're sitting we maybe run down to the office today and just sit there with looking around, seeing what's going on. Is it a good time to sort of reinvent ourselves?
I think it's a great opportunity to reset
Mhm.
ourselves. You know, I don't know about reinventing. It's, you know, it's tomato, tomato at the end of the day,
Yeah.
right? But I think it's a time to reset. And I think the reset has to be, is ultimately we have a need or a goal of how much we want to make. And so much of the time we're focused on the production side of dentistry and not on the profit side of dentistry. And the truth is I'm going to use some fake numbers here. Let's say my goal is to make $200,000 as a business owner practicing dentist. Then my goal should be is how little can I produce to make that $200,000? And here's what I've been surprised to hear, and I hope a lot of people are seeing this themselves. I've had so many dentists that I'm friends with and communicate with that have reached out and said, man, today was a great day at the office. I went in, saw 4 emergency patients, produced X dollars, and I had 1 or 2 team members there. If I could do this forever moving forward, that would be a great living. And I'm not saying you can or can't, but at least your eyes are open to a different possibility and a chance to reset what we're doing. The things that you don't like, the people that you don't like, and it goes both ways, team members to
Sure.
bosses and bosses to team members, reset. It's a great opportunity to reset. You know, dentistry, you know, at the end of the day, I went into dentistry because one, it was my dad always joked with me, says, do you know an unemployed dentist? And I just called him a couple of weeks ago and said, hey, Dad, I filed unemployment. Harken back to times as I was a teenager. But I also went into dentistry because I wanted to control my destiny. And I think
Absolutely.
what's happened is so many of us open practices to control our destiny. And then, like in
Practice
everything else
controls
in
you.
life, shit just falls, excuse my language, stuff just kind of falls apart, you know, and things the inmates start running the asylum, and the
Exactly.
inmates in this case are the insurance companies and the patients and, you know, life in general. It's not team members necessarily.
Great wisdom. Great wisdom. People are going to want to touch base with you. I know you're easy to find, but what's the easiest way to find some of these podcasts and things that you're doing, like TBone Speaks and 3D Dentists and whatever else you have running up. We'll
Yeah.
post it up we'll post it up on the screen in a few minutes. But
Yeah.
I see one so far.
Yeah. So, you know, there's a couple of ways to get in touch with me. I think the easiest way to actually connect with me is our weekly podcast, because I'll get in your ear. We can have a conversation. There's a medium there for you to be able to contact me backwards. That's one way. The other way is through our training programs at 3D Dentists. We have a phenomenal team that provides real world education, that because we actually practice dentistry.
See,
And
let
then the
me
other way,
interrupt you for a second. I
yes.
saw Erin over there. So you're doing a lot of work with sleep apnea too, which has been really wonderful.
Yeah, you know, that is one part of our practice that has stayed open during this time because it is essential care, helping people breathe at night. So we have been seeing patients for sleep consults and
Ah,
delivery of devices
well, that's
during
cool.
this time period. And then the last way to get in touch with me is through asktbone.com. You can submit questions, and I have a voicemail line, area code 510-698-2663. You can leave questions for me there as well. So there's no shortage of ways to get in touch.
Well, I can't wait to see you. I don't know if I'm going to give you a big hug. I'm a little bit nervous about that part of
So we're going to give each other a hug. I'm going to steal some of your hair is what I'm going to do, even if it is gray.
it. Hey, T, it's been a pleasure. Thanks for spending a short time with me, and everybody stay safe, stay well, and keep in touch with TBone. He's got so much to say. Thanks so much.
Thank you, guys.